Hey, MCE crew, the German Retail Association just announced that grocery and necessity items in German stores are going to be going up by 20 to 50% on top of where they already are. Okay, so the German people are about to see more inflation on necessity items like food. Hope you can hear me over the wind. This is why I am an advocate for making everything an asset, okay? So if you've got a multi-acre property that's growing nothing but grass, unless you got 100 recipes for grass, you probably should start thinking about making that property produce some calories for you and your family. Again, wealth, the definition of it is being redefined. But let's take a look at the way this economy is evolving here in America, okay, and throughout the entire world. This is not something that's confined to one country. This is taking place throughout the entire world, and we're going to see it accelerate and continue as the dollar comes under more and more pressure, as it loses its prominence as the reserve currency. So behind me, you see a apple tree. There's some pear trees. There's a apricot tree. Raised beds coming in. We're going to do a little bit more with that this year. Don't let it fool you. Don't. If you're in an apartment, that's fine. Check your county. You've got a community garden somewhere in the area. Start to utilize that. Now, why? Well, number one, you need to eat. And number two, look, you need to make an investment in your number one asset, and you need to be able to free up money, okay, so that you can continue to buy assets. Because the powers that be, I want you to become your own bank in many aspects. But the powers that be are still purchasing assets, okay, especially as they become less expensive. You should be too, but you need money to do it. That is why you need to insulate yourself from inflation to the extent that you can by stocking up, participating in sales wherever you can. Somebody on some platform said you shouldn't shop at the wholesale clubs like Costco and Sam and BJ's because you might buy too much and the food might go bad. Why don't you take it in the other direction and look at it from the standpoint of partnering with people and being able to purchase in bulk for less, thereby being able to hold on to some more of your money and still get what you need. But look, those are all great ideas. We're going to explore those. I want to hear from you in the comments about what you're doing. Let's get into the latest in terms of the pressures that the dollar is coming under. And these are the reasons why those of us over here in the West, the Germans, okay, again, that retail association is saying that Germans are going to pay 20 to 50% more for food on top of what they've already experienced in terms of inflation. So let's get into forecasting this stuff. This is not going away, people, okay? How many prices in your lifetime have you known to decrease, okay, over the long term? How many times have you experienced that? Is a steak less expensive today than it was back, a year ago? Or is it more expensive? Everybody always brags about the bottle of Coca-Cola they used to get when they were 16 years old. Is that more expensive or less expensive now? These prices aren't coming down. At some point, inflation will stabilize at some point. I don't know when, but the prices will not reverse. So we need to figure this out. So let's get into talking about the latest over in Russia and how they're maybe in some form of fashion building an alternative to dollar hegemony. All right, crew, one of the major issues we're dealing with in the world today is a serious lack of competency on the part of those who are elected to represent us. And then the other half of that coin is that we're dealing with some very savvy individuals who have fallen under the sway of larger organizations. Most of the time, these are international, non-governmental organizations like the World Economic Forum or International Monetary Fund. That group is savvy. They are represented by some really smart people who have long-term views of the world. Now, one of the things that most folk, after hearing that, might say is, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist, as if that would make me stop talking. I'm supposed to be embarrassed by being labeled a conspiracy theorist. We did a video the other day about something in the title was New World Order, okay? And it was a play on a quote. Now, Biden came out, and Biden made remarks that we were going into a new world order.
You know, we are at an inflection point, I believe, in the world economy. Not just the world economy, in the world. It occurs every 3 or 4 generations. As one of the top military people said to me in a secure meeting the other day, 60 million people died between 1900 and 1946. And since then, we established a liberal world order, and that hadn't happened in a long while. A lot of people dying, but nowhere near the chaos. And now is a time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there, and we've got to lead it. And we've got to unite the rest of the free world and do it.
Okay, not Tyrone Keys, but YouTube put a label on that video saying the New World Order is a conspiracy theory and blah, blah, blah. President of the United States says it. Now, he's not the first. Clinton mentioned it, and so before him, George H.W. Bush mentioned it, okay? And what are we seeing? What are we actually seeing with our eyes? We're seeing the construction of a new world order. I mean, what? We're not imagining this. So, when I talk about this group of incompetents that are elected, keep in mind, and, you know, I might lose some subscribers on this one, fine. It's not going to stop me from telling the truth. Politicians are people, by and large, not all of them, but I would argue that many, especially on the local level, are people that really couldn't hack it in, like, the production world, the world that you and I live in, where we have to actually produce something that the world wants and needs in order to make a living. Politicians, you take the mayor of Baltimore City, for example. Now, this guy's he's never worked in corporate America. He's never owned a business. He's never produced anything. And it shows, okay, with his management of what essentially is the multi-billion-dollar corporation called Baltimore City. You look around the country, you see a lot of this at the local level. People with a little bit of charisma can appeal to at least 51% of the people. So they, you know, good bet that they can win a popularity contest. Especially when most competent people with experience and expertise in various things are not interested in public office. Because who wants the trouble? Okay, look at how Trump was savaged. Okay, now he's a unique individual, but most people would say, look, I'm just gonna, especially after Trump, you've got a lot of people who would be great politicians who are now saying, you know what, I'm just gonna sit over here and be comfortable with my millions and live my life. I'm not getting involved in that. And that was by design, by the way. So the incompetence that we've seen with the implementation of the sanctions has sanctions against Russia. U.S. is in the lead on imposing those. The enthusiasm that you've seen with the imposition of those sanctions has been backed by the unseen bureaucracy because it is leading to a restructuring of the economic landscape worldwide. Dmitry Medvedev. That's how you pronounce his name, Hillary.
No lingering effects. No lingering effects.
He came out recently and he had remarks about this issue. He's the former president of Russia, and he's also the former prime minister, and I believe he still serves in some capacity over there. Anyway, he's in the know. He said a new financial order will be negotiated in the world, and the West won't have the main say in it anymore. And we're starting to see that as other areas and countries of the world start to cooperate together to create alternatives to the West financial infrastructure. Even countries like India, which in the previous presidential administration under Trump, India was very enthusiastic about building a relationship with the United States. But now it's looking at saying, A, we don't want our foreign policy controlled by America, and B, hey, we've got a destiny of our own. Remember, India is not some country that just popped up on the map 230 some odd years ago, okay, like America. India, China, Russia, other places in the world have histories that go back a long, long time prior to the first colonists setting foot over here in America. Okay, so they want to control their own destiny. The hellish sanctions imposed on Russia by the U.S., EU, and their allies over the conflict in Ukraine have failed to cripple the country, but are instead returning to the West like a boomerang. Medvedev, the former Russian president, who is now deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council, said to RT, Russia Today, one of the Russian news sites that they took off of YouTube. I used to watch it, and people actually criticized me for that. And my response to that was, look, let's say Russia Today, RT, is a mouthpiece for the Kremlin. Why wouldn't I want to hear what they have to say? The same reason I read the papers, the state-controlled papers out of China. I want to know what President Xi is thinking, because all of this is, intertwined economically. And any organization that tries to limit my ability to understand what these other world leaders are saying, whether they are allies or not in this global economy, I believe they are supporting ignorance, and they want you to remain ignorant. Okay, there's a lot of stuff you're not being told, like how an insurance company is a better bet than a bank to build your savings. Okay, how gold, when the last time you heard your banker talk about gold? You're not going to. So you're being cut off in many cases, not this audience because you all are savvy, but most of America is being cut off from valuable information. So we didn't, I had to dig to find these remarks by Medvedev. After the outbreak of the conflict in Ukraine in late February, the U.S. and EU froze nearly half of Russia's foreign currency reserves worth nearly $300 billion. Confidence in reserve currencies is fading like the morning mist, and the prospect of abandoning the dollar and euro in this role does not seem like an unrealistic prospect anymore, Medvedev said. The era of regional currencies is coming. No matter if they want it or not, they'll have to negotiate a new financial order. I guess he's a conspiracy theorist too, right? Medvedev said. And the decisive voice will then be with those countries that have a strong and advanced economy, healthy public finances, and a reliable monetary system, and not with those who endlessly inflate their public debt, issue more and more pieces of paper into circulation which aren't backed by national wealth. He also had comments about the seizure of private property, namely their hundreds of billions of dollars. And look, does he have a point? Okay, the U.S. has used its influence to really wreak havoc on Russia's financial system. And look, before somebody in a Facebook post accused me of being a Putin apologist and a lapdog of Putin. I'm not on Putin's side. I'm not on the Ukraine side. I'm on my side, okay, where this whole thing is concerned. Because again, it has a big time monetary component. And if you don't believe me, go try to buy a grain product, compare the price of it to the price of it last year. Go and buy some gasoline and compare that price, okay? So that's what we have going on now. the sanctions, how well did they work? Not very, because Fortune is reporting that the ruble pretty much has damn near recovered. So it turned out that it would have been kind of a momentary shock to that currency. But look, Russia has smart people too. And what they've done is they have gotten together and they've decided that they have some ideas about how to mitigate the damage, the intended damage from the sanctions. Backing up the ruble with gold is one of those things. So you've got to make everything an asset, okay, in this new environment. Everything has to be an asset. And the easiest way to do that is to start your own business, okay? You have much more of an opportunity to make things assets in terms of taxation, okay? And, you know, just assets that kick off some type of production in your favor, okay? Now, you can go out, whether you're a W-2 employee or whether you are a business owner, and you can start planting and growing your own food, okay? We talk about that all the time. But you can also examine closely what's going on with this rethinking of money, okay? And you're going to have two world powers, maybe three if you count India, Russia, and China, both saying, all three saying that, wait a minute, maybe the dollar is a little, maybe the influence behind the dollar is a little too strong, okay? The people over in America, the elected officials have imposed these sanctions, but the bureaucracy, like the International Monetary Fund and the World Economic Forum, remember, Klaus told you that we were going to have a reset, okay? And so that bureaucracy, and if you don't believe me, go back and watch a video we did a couple of days ago where he's actually saying that he's got folk embedded all throughout the bureaucracy in several world governments, okay? He's saying that, and nobody has denied it. It's called the Young Leader Program of the World Economic Forum, and it's got some pretty high-placed media and policy folks in it. Now, they also have some politicians as well, because they need to receive marching orders. But again, your politicians are in office for a brief amount of time compared with the people that are actually running the government, okay? The bureaucrats. They are in office for decades in most cases. Even when you have a cabinet head, like let's say the Department of Energy, okay, they come and go relatively quickly, especially, you know, the cabinet is a in many ways, it's a, you know, a thank you for a political favor. So if I donate enough money, or, you know, I run against somebody, but then I throw my support behind them, then I could become, you know, the cabinet secretary for the Department of Defense. I could be the Secretary of Defense, maybe. And we'd rename the name of it. The first thing we do is call it the Secretary of Offense. No, but seriously, that's how that's done. So when a new president comes in, they're going to want to change that up, okay? They're going to want to reward their circle, okay? Just like ambassadors, same thing works that way. But those people that get actual jobs working in government, they know the lay of the land, they know the internal politics of whatever you know, department they're dealing in, and they know it well. France used to have this system where it was the civil service system worked like this in France. They moved you around, okay? So one period you might be working for the postal service, and the next maybe you were working for the energy service, and then you were over here working for telecom, you know, the state telecommunication service, France Telecom. So they moved you around. I like that idea because it doesn't give you an opportunity to become embedded in, you know, one department. And it doesn't give, you know, top people the opportunity to build these impenetrable networks. All right, guys. So enough of all that. I think I've given you just a cornucopia, a veritable cornucopia of some of the things that are going out there. I want to keep you on your toes. Things are changing. We talk about what you have to do. And if you want any information on opening a business in the financial services or real estate industries, mcenow.com. mcenow.com. Okay, guys, I'll talk to you soon. To learn more about how you can achieve financial independence, check out these videos we recently posted on the Money Changes Everything channel.